Okay, today I'm going to talk about some of my hitchhiking experiences, mostly in the 60s. Uh, we did a lot of hitchhiking, thousands of miles probably. Hitchhiked on desert roads like you see here a lot. I took this picture off the internet. Uh, One difference is I did not have a fancy backpack like this ever. However, recently I actually bought an old canvas. I believe it was Swedish or Norwegian army surplus backpack, which I really loved. Uh, so, of course, in the 60s, this is like nice new condition, but the one I had was a bit funkier and I didn't have this padding I've added on now. Wasn't particularly waterproof. It held a lot. I love that backpack. That's why I bought another one like it when I saw one on eBay. So one of the big lessons I learned hitchhiking, and maybe this carries over to other parts of life, I had much better luck on roads with very few cars compared to roads with lots of cars. This might seem, this is not intuitive. Like when you first hitchhiking, you figure, yeah, I'll go where there's lots of cars, it'll be easy to get rides. It doesn't work that way. Little desert roads like this, very high percentage of the people will pick you up. If you're in a country, rural area, very high percentage of people will pick you up. So two stories come to mind. I hitchhiked all over California. I mean, you'd have a hard time finding a road on the map of California that is at all traveled that I didn't hitchhike on. But for some reason, I never went up to Lake Tahoe, one of the beautiful areas of the world. This incredible lake with totally clear water. On California, it's National Forest side. Of course, I was a bit put off by the Nevada side, which is casinos, big time casinos. So I go up, I spend a couple of days on the California side, camping along the lake, and then I decide to hitchhike back down to San Francisco at the end of the weekend when there's lots and lots of people going to be returning from their gambling weekend back to the city. So I figured it would be very easy to get a ride. Cars, so I found a nice spot. The cars can pull over easy. That's a big rule of hitchhiking. Walk until you find a place where cars can see you. They can easily pull over out of the traffic. Cars streaming by. After an hour or so of cars streaming by, totally ignoring me, I decided to do a little calculating by how many cars were going every minute, how many per hour, and how many were passing me up in the total after. And I ended up waiting there for 2 hours to get a ride. And it was something like, I don't know, 4,000 cars passed me by. Some insane number like that, at least 2,000. And also, I figured there would be somebody really happy, coming back from Vegas, he won lots of money, somebody like that would be just in a good mood and pick up a hitchhiker. It worked the opposite way, the two rides that I got. One was fairly short, and then a long ride took me back to the city. So the first ride, it was a guy as depressed as anybody who ever picked me up. He was a blackjack dealer. This is a very high-paying, wonderful, fun job to have in the casinos, apparently. You get different characters around. This is how he described it to me. You get different characters around your table every day. And of course, the odds very well, how to play your game. You just do it mathematically. have some character. I guess I don't know if bluffing is involved for a dealer, but a dealer knows how to make money off of being on the table like that. And then when there was a winner, the winner gets out, and they're drinking, of course, and the winner gives some big tips. So he made a lot of money. He loved being a blackjack dealer, but he was accused of cheating. And once, apparently, and he was fired. Bingo. And once you're accused of cheating in the casinos, that goes around, and his thought was he would never be able to work as a blackjack dealer again. His life that he loved was over with. And he was seriously depressed, telling me this whole story. So the very opposite of a happy winner. I could not imagine more opposite. And then he lets me off after 30 miles or so. I'm still cars streaming by. And then finally, California, city dweller guy, middle-aged, dressed nice, spent the whole weekend in Tahoe gambling, lost a lot of money. And this had happened to him before, going up there full of hopes, playing whatever system or ideas he had about gambling. And of course, the odds are against you. The casinos make money because people get over optimistic that they're going to win, keep on gambling. They get ahead, get really excited, keep on gambling, try to recreate that moment when they're winning, throw more money at it, and end up losing everything that you budgeted, or maybe even go to the ATM and take out more. I don't know if they had ATMs then, but so he picked me up and tells me the sad tale and says, he didn't think he was ever going to go back. He just could not repeat this again. So that's the story of hitchhiking on a road, a lot of traffic, and waiting a long time. Now, a little bit later than that, I was living in Joshua Tree, California, camping out in the desert, a wonderfully desert campsite. And I would go up to San Francisco once a month, to Berkeley, actually, to go to a Maribaba meeting. And I would hitchhike back. And many times before that, I had hitchhiked from up north back down to Joshua Tree, where I spent so much time, so much winter time. And so I knew I gradually figured out, the very best route to hitchhike there. And the last stretch, almost the last stretch, was from Barstow, California, this isolated but desert town of maybe 50,000, 20,000, I don't know, down to Yucca Valley, which is then Yucca Valley is just a little jump of 4 miles or something over to Joshua Tree. And so that road at that time, from Barstow to Yucca Valley, I would estimate had maybe a dozen through drivers a day going from Barstow to Yucca Valley. And I had to figure it out that half of those drivers went early in the morning, like early, like maybe the sun wasn't even up early, because they were working down there and living up in Barstow for some reason. And so if I got into Barstow in the afternoon, I just forget it. And later I met a guy who said he spent 3 days standing in that road to get a ride, but I bet he didn't get up early in the morning. That was his mistake. So I would just spend the day however I could in Barstow, go to the library, whatever, camp out, and then sleep beside the road, close to where a good hitchhiking spot is, and the first red light, I'm up and standing on that road. And no more. And of course, some was local traffic, and sometimes I would get a ride out to a bar that was a little ways out there, or something like that. But usually, right from my hitchhiking spot, there would be a through ride to Yucca Valley, almost always. And I'm talking maybe 25 times of doing this over the years. And So out of, in that morning, there would be maybe 6 possible rides, and it was guaranteed one of them would pick me up, because they knew there was very little possibility of, very few people were going to be able to give me that ride, you know. And I would have a sign whenever I have an ability to make a cardboard sign. I would try to carry a felt tip marker with me. I can make big bold letters, find a piece of cardboard, rip it up into the right size, so make it big enough. This is my beginning of my sign painting career, you might say. Now to make a sign people could read when you hold it up beside the road, Yucca Valley. You know, that's where I wanted to get to. And well, you didn't really need that. If you hit your thumb out on that road, they know where you're going. So there was some other amusing incidents that illustrated that point. But over the years, I learned repeatedly that better than the highways, better than the roads with lots of traffic, and in a lot of cases in California, the real freeways, you're not allowed to hitchhike on out on the road. You can hitchhike on the on-ramps up to the point where there is a sign that says no hitchhikers. And you go past that sign, and then you're in jeopardy of the highway patrol picking you up, causing major problems for you, which happened to me. That's a whole nother story. But so one time I'm in the town of Santa Barbara, and this is the hippie era, a lot of hitchhikers, and people are going north. I'm going north, and there was a huge live oak tree across the way where was kind of a hippie park gathering spot. A little ways up the road was kind of the last spot on the stretch of highway before you get into a legal freeway, and it's where all the hippies stood to hitchhike anyways. So there was like 20 of us standing there waiting to get rides. And there's a certain order, you know, you allow the person to spend their longest to have the best spot. You kind of line up further up the road behind them, like that. And so a truck with the sides, built up sides, a flatbed truck, about I would say a 10-ton truck. And anyways, it was big enough. It picked up everybody. We all jumped in. This happened a lot in Mexico. People, a whole group of people would be hitchhiking, and that exact kind of truck would go delivering produce or something in one direction, come back empty to go back where they worked, made things that they're going to deliver again later. And when they're empty going back to where they live, they pick up all the hitchhikers, and that was great. So it wasn't intimidating in Mexico. It was, we have a group of 20 hitchhikers, because, you know, one of those trucks is going to come get everybody. In Mexico, in the United States, that was very unusual, but it happened. However, the guy driving this truck was something of, as many people picking up hitchhikers, hitchhiking illiterate, because he dropped everybody off where you couldn't stand on the freeway. You couldn't stand on the through traffic like we were in Santa Barbara. The truth is, we were all better off back in Santa Barbara, where we got all the through traffic headed towards the freeway. Now we're on to be legal, we're on an on-ramp with very little traffic. So that guy was screwing everybody picked up, essentially. It was very annoying. So, but by this time, I've got the philosophy that small roads are better than big roads. And at that time, gas stations gave away free maps. California, when there was a gas station, I went and got a free map and looked to see what back roads there would be to hitchhike on and not wait all night, or maybe 2 days or 5 days or whatever on that on-ramp. It was going to be ridiculous for all those people to get rides on that on-ramp. And so I picked one buddy that looked like he'd be fun to hitchhike with, and I told him all this, and he agreed to come with me. And we hitchhiked. It took us actually 2 days to make that small road and get back to a spot. I saw a road that came out and would get back to a spot that would be a good place to stand and hitchhike on. But people, I guess it was 2 days because it was getting towards evening by the time we stood on that road. It got started, and then we spent overnight. No use hitching at night on the small road like we spent overnight, and then the next day we got a good road, good ride. So many stories. I used to go up Highway 1, go through the redwoods close to the coast of California. Instead of up Highway 5, we stand on ramps all the way up, or 395 east of the mountains, which became a favorite route, stand on the main road there. And then there was typically I would take highway over to Redding, California, connecting the coast highway to Redding, a major highway. But below that was a much smaller highway. I mean, it went down to one lane at points. You know, one of these roads, it was so small, it'd be one lane and then there'd be turnouts just through woods. So I learned to hitchhike on that road. That was fun. You meet all these local people. Maybe they don't take you very far, but you get another ride pretty quickly. So yeah, that's how I ended up hitchhiking on so many roads in California, because I just decided it was more fun to hitchhike on the little back roads. So that covers it for hitchhiking on small roads in the 60s. And I'll get into more hitchhiking tales another time.